Neal does something that none of us has the heart to do or the energy. He's gone into the publishing business, and he's going to share with you, because how many times have I told you, you've got a story, you've got more than one story, you've got some good ones. Shame on you not putting it down and sharing it with us. So I'm going to ask you, think hard. There's some stories that you have. Some are up here, but some are in your heart. And we would all enjoy hearing about it. And so listen, because we've got a publisher right here who would make it easier on you. But I want you to think about that. That's the only way we preserve what happened before, how people lived, their relationships with each other, within the family and without the family. So this is our publisher, but I want you to really think about sharing your thoughts and your memories with us. Neal?
Hey everybody, I'm Neal Bertrand. I was born right here in Opelousas. I went to Academy of the Immaculate Conception, AIC, from 1957 to graduated in 1970. And I have had the opportunity and the privilege of working with Connie several years ago and publishing her book. And I want to say to you a quote that I read by one of my favorite publishing gurus. He said, "Is there a book inside of you?" And he also said, "Don't die with a book inside of you."
Would you repeat that, please, Ollie, because I want everybody here to listen to it.
Number one, is there a book inside of you? Number two, don't die with a book inside of you. A lot of us have important information that we need to share with the world. Things that we need to say, secrets that we need to share, and so just, think about it. But by the way, I wanted to congratulate this group here. Connie gave this identical presentation at the Lafayette Genealogy Society. We had about half the crowd, and no questions. So, y'all are wonderful. I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you the steps that I took in publishing her book. Number one, you need a manuscript. And like she said, she worked 13 years on the manuscript, interviewing relatives over the years. And so what I did was, I had to read the book, proofread it, and so on. We had to create chapter headings and sub-chapter headings, such as at the beginning of the book, there's a subheading called Jumping the Broomstick. And this is when Eliza and Oscar got married. They had this little ritual. And so they had many other subheadings like that throughout the book. So I proofread the book for spelling, punctuation. I copy edited it. I had to rearrange some sentence structure to make it look, read clearer and better. And then once it was done, Connie gave it to certain maybe relatives or friends to read for what is called peer review. Our peers, if you're in the architectural business and you write a book about architecture, well, you want to give it to your peer, your fellow architects to read it for sense, to make sure it makes sense and that others can understand it. Well, she did that. Another thing we had to do was decide on a subtitle. It originally had a different subtitle than what it shows here, which is The Real Story of the Cajuns. So that was part of the process. And we need to pick, when you're doing a title and a subtitle for your book, you want to design your title so that it has the most appeal to your market, okay? It adds clarity, the subtitle adds clarity to the title, and also for the internet world. Now everything is built around the internet. Amazon.com is your #1 book-selling place, as well as BarnesandNoble.com and so on. Well, everything is built around search engines. If you want to look up cooking, you type it into a search engine, and they'll help you get to the right place. Well, in this internet marketing arena, there's something called search engine optimization. If you have a book on cooking, you don't want words in there about archaeology or architecture. You want to put something like étouffée and good things like that. So your title will help, your subtitle and title will help steer people in the right direction to find your book. Otherwise, you'll have a hard time. So the subtitle, The Real Story of the Cajuns, if somebody is interested, what is the real story of the Cajuns, or what is it about the Cajuns, and they don't know anything, well, if they type in something about Cajuns or a story of the Cajuns or whatever, they would have a better chance finding this, seeing this book cover and seeing this title, and to help them to make a decision. We also had to decide on a font style and size, which is on the interior of the book. We had to decide what the final trim size is. This is 6 by 9, 6 wide by 9 inches tall. So that had to be nailed down. That had to be decided. Then I asked Connie, okay, well, look, all the people that you know, we need to get some, what I'll call blurbs, which is little short reviews that go on the back of the book. And once you look at the book, you'll see on the back cover, we have 3 awesome reviews or blurbs. One is by Jim Bradshaw, who is a journalist in Lafayette who worked for the Daily Advertiser for many decades. Another one was Carl Brasso, who she worked with at the UL. And the third one is from former U.S. Congressman and Senator from Louisiana, John Breaux.
Wow.
So that packs some punch. All 3 of these, when the customer or the prospect sees your book, and if the cover interests them, they'll turn it over naturally, right? Well, you need a good sales pitch, and so the first paragraph right here at the top is the best sales pitch that we could find to sell the book. So that had to be done. And the next thing, we created a mock-up. A mock-up of the front cover. I asked Connie, what do you envision? What do you see as on the front cover of the book? And she told me. She said, I want my grandmother's house, I want my grandmother's picture and my grandfather's picture. So what did we do? We went into my picture archives. I found my grandmother and grandfather's house, my grandfather and my grandmother's picture, and we placed it, Jeremy placed it on the way it should look. And we brought that to a book cover designer in Lafayette. And she took that, and she sat with Connie, and she arranged it the way it is here. And it took about 2 or 3 sittings with the designer to come up with this design. Then the next thing, as a publisher, we had to put the book in the, quote, system. The book system. If it's not in the system, a bookstore in Minneapolis is not going to be able to find your book. So once it's in the system, anybody, any bookseller who has a bookstore and a computer can go into their normal software or internet thing, and once they have the title, or if they have the ISBN, which is on the back cover, they can find the book. And then, so with that, having done all that, we have the book set up with Amazon.com, and Amazon has 2 companies they work with that they own. One is for the paperback books called CreateSpace, and the other is for the ebooks which is digital books. So anybody can go online to Amazon and buy the Kindle ebook or the paperback book, and it would be sent to them. Also, another company that you have to work with is called Lightning Source. Lightning Source will get your book into the Barnes & Noble chains and have it on the Nook e-reader device and other companies similar to that. The third thing is for your book to be in an ebook form to be sold on Sony, the Barnes & Noble site, Kobo, Apple eBooks, and also Diesel and Baker and Taylor. There's one company that you need to deal with called Smashwords. Smashwords is strictly ebooks. Okay? So with the books being sold there, you'll get customers going there and you'll get sales. So I wanted to share with you, here is a printout of, I guess you'd say, let's see, what does this say? These are the books, these are the quantities of the books that have been sold. And let's see, we have Lightning Source sent us figures on what was sold there. Kindle sent us a report. Smashwords sold us a report. And the last, I think it was the last Smashwords or Lightning, it was the last Lightning Source report that I got. We sold more House for Eliza than my 3 cookbooks combined. So it's doing well. And so having said all that, having told about the process, I would like Connie to come forth. I have something to present to her. This is her first quarter 2013 royalty check.
Wow. Hey, there's nothing better than that. Well, thank you.
So this is a real thing. It's a real process. Doing it this way, having it available through these different channels will produce results if you have a good book, and she has a real good book. And I thank those of you who have purchased it this morning. Also, if we will take a check, we will take cash, and we will also take credit card information. Jeremy, my son, has the card reader. He can swipe a credit card using his smartphone. So, and the book is $15.95 plus tax equals $17.23, I think it is. So, thank you for your time and your interest. That's all I have to say. If you have any questions, I hope to be able to answer some questions.
Stay available.
You're a writer yourself, you said?
I am a writer. I don't like to write. I like having written, but I don't like to write.
I like that.
I don't find myself a fluent writer. However, I put books out and put books in the marketplace because that's how I make my living. I have 3 cookbooks that I've done, down-home Cajun cooking favorites. I have one that you can cook a meal in a rice pot, which is called Rice Cooker Meals. Fast home cooking for busy people. Fast because you can cook a meal in about 30 minutes. And the 3rd cookbook I have is Slow Cooker Meals, easy home cooking for busy people. So I've published all 3 of those starting in 2006 to 2010. I also did in 2001, my first publishing project was a Cajun coloring book called Cajun Country Fun Coloring and Activity Book. And the artist is somebody that you may know from the internet, from YouTube, called Pouillon Douillon. His real name is Keith Douillon. He is an artist. He is a cartoonist and a very witty guy. And I had him put on each page of where the cartoon character is, I had him write captions, and then the caption, like for example, one of them was a picture of a crawfish with a paddle stirring a pot. And so we put the caption as crawfish making gratons. And so then we had each of those captions on those 32 pages translated into French, Cajun French. And the project I'm working on now is called Dad's War Photos, His Journey Through the South Pacific. My daddy went to war in 1943, and he was in, well, he left home here in Prairie Ronde, well, Mallet actually is where he lived. He went to boot camp in Jefferson, south of Jefferson City, Missouri, called Fort Leonard Wood. He went to another camp near Spokane, Washington. He went to Australia. And from there, they jumped over to New Guinea, the island of Biak, Philippines, then he came back home. And so he took 800 pictures in World War II. The book will contain about 500 pictures. And what makes the book really click is that I was fortunate enough to have access and to obtain the battalion's daily diary. A lot of this is progress reports of we paved so many miles of road this month, or made so many airstrips. And so he was with the Engineers Battalion, and that's what they did. They helped the war effort by creating airstrips for the bombers to come in to bomb the enemy. And so all of that we're working on. My son Jeremy is doing the interior, and the book should be out soon. And I think it'll be a good seller. So that is my attempt at being an author. I wrote down what I remember Dad told me about these pictures. Not every picture had anything written on the back, and a lot of them were mysteries. But because I had that diary, I could put two and two together and make sense out of, oh, that's what that is. Because he had on the back, he had the date, like June 44, and then it says in the diary, June 44, this happened. Like, for example, the Japanese came in and bombed their camp, and one time they blew up 2,300 barrels, not gallons, barrels of aviation fuel. And so it made a huge explosion. And so that's just one of the adventures that they had, not to mention getting strafed by planes as they were in their landing craft coming to land on the beach. But I think it'll be a good book. That's what I'm working on now. Any other questions? Thank you so much for coming.